There's a film like this. It doesn't have the grand, majestic backdrop or the heart-wrenching farewells of Titanic, yet it pierces straight to the soul with its delicate and nuanced portrayal of emotion. It's not filled with the exotic charm and beautifully tragic romance of Roman Holiday, yet it moves us deeply with its simple and ordinary story. That film is If Only. Like a quiet yet deeply emotional symphony, it gently plays out, conveying a profound but simple truth. Don't wait until it's gone to realize its worth. It leads us to reevaluate the precious meaning of love in our lives. Imagine one day, if you could go back in time and change the course of a love that's about to be lost, what would you do? This film gives us an unexpected answer. A sudden car crash takes Ian's beloved girlfriend Samantha from him forever. Devastated, he loses the will to go on. But then the unexpected happened. The very next morning, just as he's about to fall asleep holding Samantha's diary, she miraculously appears beside him in bed.
Read one word and I'll kill you. I was just kidding!
You're here.
Ian freezes like he's been struck by lightning, staring at the surreal sight before him, his mind completely blank. It's only when Samantha gently reaches out and hugs him, the warmth of her touch seeping through his clothes, that his nerves begin to calm, and his racing heart slowly steadies. As Ian looks around at the very real surroundings, he feels disoriented. Could the horrifying events of yesterday have just been a vivid dream? But before the joy of getting her back had fully settled, he sensed that something was off. Looking down at the suit he's wearing, a wave of déjà vu hits him hard. His breath catches. He remembers. This is the same suit he wore yesterday. A chill shoots up from the soles of his feet, flooding his body. A terrifying thought suddenly crosses his mind. Could the events from that dream be a dreadful prediction of today? Seeing Samantha safe and sound, he lets out a small sigh of relief. In the dream, at this exact time yesterday, Samantha scalded her hand on a kettle, but now she's completely fine. Maybe that means his fear was misplaced. Yet, just as Ian starts to relax, something chilling happens next.
Ow! God! Oh, God, I am such a klutz.
You burnt yourself on the hand.
What is wrong with you? I burn myself with that damn thing every other day.
Even though Samantha insists it was just an accident, Ian can't shake the uneasy feeling. On the way to work, Ian suddenly recalls that in the dream, this was where a passerby accidentally spilled coffee on Samantha's clothes. So, he decides to take a different route. He thinks, if he changes their surroundings and the situation, maybe he can avoid what happened in the dream. But reality didn't turn out the way he had hoped.
Yeah, I just thought the scooter seemed a little speedy.
Right after he explains that he's successfully changed the course of the dream and is ready to head to work, the exact same scene from the dream begins playing out in real life. Two strange coincidences in a row suddenly make Ian realize that maybe yesterday wasn't a dream at all, but something that really happened. He hurries to explain everything to Samantha, but what he says sounds so bizarre, so unreal. Even though Samantha trusts him, she still thinks it's all just a string of coincidences. After all, if she had truly died, how could she be completely unaware, coming back to life? Such a thing is far too strange to happen in the real world. It's impossible. Seeing that Samantha refuses to believe him, Ian becomes desperate. He decides to prove he's telling the truth by predicting something that happened yesterday. He tells Samantha that on the way to the company meeting, his watch will get broken.
We will walk to your office together. And if your watch cracks, then we'll know that something is going on.
Samantha doesn't show even a hint of mistrust. She simply wants to use facts to prove that what Ian experienced was just a dream, so he can finally be at ease. The way she so gently cares for Ian's emotions shows just how sincere and deep her love really is. Along the way, Samantha's relaxed ease stood in stark contrast to Ian's constant anxiety. His heart was filled with unease. They soon arrive at the company without any issues. Nothing unusual happens, and Ian's watch remains perfectly intact on his wrist. Ian pretends to be relieved, but deep down, his nerves remain on edge. Thinking back to the incidents of the scalded hand and the coffee spill, Ian begins to realize with growing clarity that even though the time and place of these accidents were slightly different, They still unfolded in reality just as they did in his memory. After Samantha leaves, Ian solemnly reminds his assistant again and again to confirm the dinner reservation by 9 p.m. His tone firm and his eyes filled with determination. He can't afford to miss it. In the past, overwhelmed by work, Ian hadn't realized just how important Samantha was in his world, until he lost her. Now let's rewind and take another look at what happened yesterday. That morning, Ian politely declined Samantha's request to visit her family together, using work as an excuse. Although he spoke gently, it clearly showed how little he prioritized Samantha. Before the accident, Ian took all of Samantha's care and love for granted. He never really thought about how the woman who always gave silently, what she might be feeling deep inside. That night, Ian forgot to attend Samantha's graduation recital, a performance that meant the world to her. Always patient and considerate, Samantha for once lost her temper. Ignoring Ian's desperate attempts to stop her, she got into a cab and left without looking back, and soon after, the tragedy that shattered Ian's heart occurred. That's why he kept reminding his assistant, over and over, about the importance of the recital. After the company meeting, Ian met up with his friends for dinner. During the meal, he tried to share his bizarre experience with them, but no one took it seriously. Some even joked that he was just hallucinating from stress. Just as Ian was sinking into deep self-doubt, a suddenly flying billiard ball snapped him out of his thoughts. Instinctively, he caught it, because yesterday, at this exact moment, that ball had shattered a glass. In that instant, a deep, indescribable fear and confusion flooded Ian's heart. Now, he was certain what happened yesterday wasn't a dream. It had truly taken place. Panicked, Ian rushed out the door, flagged down a cab, and told the driver to take him to Samantha's workplace. But when he glanced into the rearview mirror, he saw the driver's face clearly. To his surprise, he realized this was the exact same cab Samantha had taken the night before.
You're the driver from yesterday.
When Ian questioned him, the old man showed no confusion. Instead, he looked as if he already knew everything, making Ian realize that this driver was no ordinary person. With a growing sense of unease, Ian pressed further. Last night, Samantha got into this cab, and the crash happened when it stopped at a red light. Would that same accident happen again today? The old man said nothing, only met Ian's gaze with a meaningful look. That silence made Ian even more frantic. He couldn't hold back and cried out, "What if I hadn't let her get in that cab? What if we'd left London? What if we never stepped outside the apartment? Would it still have happened?" Desperate, he begged, "Please tell me, there has to be something I can still do, right?" At last, the driver spoke. "Cherish her. Cherish everything you have. Love her well." Fueled by anxiety, Ian ran to Samantha's workplace, and without giving her a chance to react, he grabbed her hand and pulled her onto a train bound for the countryside. At this point, a bold theory began forming in his mind. Perhaps everything that was meant to happen would repeat itself according to some unavoidable pattern. But if he could completely eliminate the conditions that led to the tragedy, like leaving the city, going somewhere remote with few cars and no traffic lights, could he break the chain and prevent the accident once and for all? They took the train to Ian's childhood hometown.
Is that thunder? I think I heard thunder. It's gonna pour. I mean, you do know that it's raining, right?
You're just trying to get out of this. Keep going.
The mysterious driver's words struck him like a hammer, making him realize just how much he owed Samantha. So no matter what the outcome would be, he longed to make up for everything that had been missing between them all along. The love and care he failed to show, even forgot to express, before the day of her accident. Rain began to pour. Ian took Samantha by the hand and they rushed up a hill, seeking shelter in a small wooden cabin. As Samantha curiously asked about the place, Ian patiently explained, all while tidying up the cabin, trying to make it a little warmer and more welcoming. But just as he struck a match, his wrist brushed against the fireplace. He looked down and saw that the glass on his watch had shattered, the cracks spreading across it like a spiderweb. A wave of heavy bitterness swept through him. He finally understood. What was destined to come had come. Fate had not changed. This time he didn't panic, nor did he try to tell Samantha about his dream. Instead, he quietly walked over to the window and stood there, silently gazing through the curtain of rain into the distance, overwhelmed by emotion. When Samantha asked if he was okay, Ian smiled with a sense of resignation, as if he had made peace with destiny. Then, softly, he asked her a question.
For some reason you thought you didn't have a lot of time left.
You mean today?
No, I mean in life. If you had one day left.
Samantha didn't notice the weight behind his words. She thought it was just a casual conversation and cheerfully shared her plans for the day. She said she wanted to buy lots of beautiful shoes and stuff her closet full. She wanted to eat 10 fluffy sundaes in one go, trying every flavor. She planned to spend all her savings on things she normally wouldn't let herself buy. She had always dreamed of being a print model just once, to feel the spotlight shining on her. As she continued, Samantha noticed the complexity in Ian's smile. Her expression turned serious.
I'd spend it with you.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Just being together, kind of like now. Doing nothing.
Looking into his eyes, she gently shared her true wish. If today were the last day of my life, I'd want to spend it with you, just like this, quietly, together. Her words struck Ian deep in his heart. Rather than calling this day a repeat of yesterday, it felt more like fate had quietly set things in motion, offering them a chance to mend what had once been lost. Hearing her wish, so simple and pure, stirred something inside him. With gentle curiosity and a soft smile, he asked if there were any other dreams she longed to fulfill. These were things she had never voiced before. Because Ian had always been so busy, Samantha had kept them tucked away, not wanting to burden him. But now, under Ian's caring gaze, she finally opened up. Her tone was soft, her eyes full of hope, as she spoke about the little wishes she'd carried for so long. But the simpler and more heartfelt her wishes were, the more Ian's heart was overwhelmed with guilt. He asked himself, how blind had he been to have ignored her feelings for so long? The entire afternoon, they never once stepped outside that little cabin. In the warmth of that cabin, they shared an intimacy that, though brief, miraculously healed the emotional gaps Samantha had long carried in the relationship. But for Ian, it still wasn't enough. That afternoon, he held Samantha's hand and led her down to a quiet village at the foot of the hill. As they passed each familiar spot, Ian spoke with deep affection, vividly recounting his connection to the land. His voice was low and filled with emotion, his eyes full of nostalgia and memories. With every story, every unguarded display of sincerity, Samantha saw a completely different Ian, a gentle, tender man whose heart and soul were entirely devoted to her. She spent the day feeling fulfilled and truly happy. Deep down, she wished time could freeze, that they could stay in this peaceful place forever and never return to the chaotic world beyond. But as night slowly fell, she couldn't help but think about reality again, about the graduation recital that meant so much to her, happening later that evening.
Let's see. I've been playing violin for 16 years. I've been studying for 3 years. I'm getting ready to graduate from one of the finest music schools in London. I think we should go home. Are you coming?
Surprisingly, Ian didn't try to stop her from returning to London. Even though he knew what tragedy the night might bring, he didn't emotionally break down, didn't explain the looming danger, and didn't refuse to go with her to the performance. By now, he had come to understand a hard truth. Perhaps what is destined will happen no matter what. Even if they stayed hidden away in the countryside, chances were it still wouldn't be enough to change how things would ultimately unfold. Before heading back, Ian took Samantha to an amusement park they'd never been to before. Together they rode a Ferris wheel that offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline. As the Ferris wheel slowly rose, with the city lights twinkling beyond the windows, Ian's long-suppressed love poured out of him like a flood, with nothing held back. And it was in this quiet romantic moment that Ian made a decision that would change everything. He was going to trade his own life for Samantha's. Even though he didn't know if it would work, or if sacrificing himself could truly alter the outcome, he couldn't just sit by and wait for tragedy to strike again. But before carrying out that plan, there was one more surprise he wanted to give her. Though he had often overlooked the details of Samantha's life, Ian knew that performing on stage, fulfilling her musical dream, was something she had always yearned for. So he rushed to the print shop with a composition Samantha had written in private, printed it into a score, and headed to the recital venue early. There, he humbly and sincerely persuaded the music instructors to accompany her performance. Finally, he asked the backstage crew to deliver a carefully prepared bouquet with a postcard tucked inside to Samantha during the show. Samantha looked at Ian in the audience, puzzled. He gave her a relaxed and tender smile. Thinking it was just a sweet gesture, she joyfully slipped the postcard back into the flowers. As the recital began, Ian knew his time was running out. After a well-known piece finished, Samantha's duet partner turned the page, and in that moment, she froze, eyes wide with disbelief. It was the very piece she had composed herself. Before she could fully react, a familiar and soul-stirring voice filled the hall. It was Ian's. That voice seemed to carry a kind of magic, instantly tugging at her heart. She couldn't help but look toward him.
Have a very special treat for you. Samantha Andrews, a visiting artist from America, has agreed to grace us with one of her own compositions.
Ian slowly walked up to her and gently said to Samantha,
"You don't want to let down your future fans."
With all eyes on her, Samantha gathered her courage and stepped forward. From the audience, Ian's eyes followed her every move, filled with encouragement and love. Guided by that strength, she closed her eyes and began to sing her song. Her voice was clear and graceful, echoing through the hall.
Today, what I feel inside.
The lyrics seemed to reflect reality itself. Samantha, betting with her very life, awakened the true emotions buried deep within Ian's heart. As she watched her classmates and teachers stand to join in the accompaniment, it suddenly hit her. Everything had been orchestrated by Ian behind the scenes. After learning the truth, Samantha's voice grew stronger and more powerful, and with it came a newfound confidence. That night, she was destined to become an overnight sensation, and it would become the most unforgettable memory of her life. Ian was the first to give her a warm hug, as thunderous applause erupted from the hundreds of people in the audience, full of admiration and praise. This dreamlike performance came to a perfect close. Ian knew that yesterday, Samantha had stormed off and taken a taxi in anger. Now the circumstances and timing of the accident had already changed. He was no longer filled with anxiety and fear, but instead faced the moment with calm acceptance, quietly saying his final goodbye to Samantha. When they walked out of the restaurant, the rain was pouring down heavily. Ian couldn't help but feel tense. He glanced at the intersection where the accident had happened the night before, then turned to Samantha and, with deep affection, finally said the words he had held in for so long. "I love you."
Samantha, if not for today, not for you, I would never have known love at all. So thank you for being the person who taught me to love. And to be loved.
I don't know what to say.
The regrets of the past could no longer be undone, but the future still held the possibility of change. And that was exactly what Ian had decided to fight for. That same taxi, whose arrival time was uncertain, yet somehow inevitable, came to a smooth stop right in front of them. But unlike the night before, this time Ian got into the taxi with her. The driver turned to look at Ian and gave him a meaningful smile, then started the engine. The taxi moved steadily through the streets. As they approached the intersection where tragedy had once struck, Ian no longer held back his emotions. He poured out his love for Samantha without holding anything back. And the moment the taxi reached the intersection, danger arrived right on cue. Without a second of hesitation, Ian threw himself over Samantha, shielding her with his own body. With nothing but his human strength, he faced fate head-on. In the end, a miracle happened. The ending was rewritten. Samantha was safe and sound.
He knew. And he kept trying to tell me, but I didn't believe him.
In life, we often take the love around us for granted, not realizing how precious every act of care truly is. Don't wait until it's too late to regret. Cherish the present and truly feel your loved one's devotion. Don't let busyness and neglect leave behind regrets in love, because in reality, there's no chance to start over. Treasure the one beside you. Express your love in time. Not letting life be filled with regret is the best way to honor this precious love.